Hello and welcome to Life is Feudal, Forest Village. We're into the spring of a new year and there's still quite a bit to be done in Village 2 up here, particularly getting all these bakeries up and running, getting the tailors sorted out as well, because I mean we do have quite a bit of wool that's been left over from Village 1, so I've been kind of like delaying getting that sheep farm up and running. But one of the first things I really want to focus on is getting the trade sorted out between these two areas, because the idea is we want to bring in, you know, things like the fish, the fruit, the meat, the milk that these bakeries are going to actually use. I'd rather get that sorted out first before we actually start building them. Otherwise these people are just going to sit around with nothing to do. So that's the first thing I want to do, is get ourselves a caravan stable built here. So let's plonk that down there. I'll put that up there just to remind me. Now, I also want to remove that barn, but there's dependencies on it, because we've got caravans are actually bringing goods into that barn and taking things out. So the trouble is I can't get rid of that barn until we fix those routes, so that nobody's using it at all. The problem is if I don't, the game will crash. But before I even touch those, I want to make sure that I've actually got all the proper trading routes in place first, and then we'll take away the old ones, because we don't have any dedicated caravanners for this job at the moment. There's a few different caravans dotted around that are doing all this, so yeah, I'm going to have to literally go around every single caravan stable in the area just to see who's actually touching that barn, start moving things around. But yeah, I need to get this one here up and running first. Now, one other thing I do want to do, I actually want to clear all of these out. I don't want this barn actually accepting anything more, because it'll make it easier when we do get round to clearing it out. Just double check, because sometimes I'll tell it to like not accept things, and then the filter will allow everything else. I need to clear these ones as well, except for firewood. Until I move that sawmill, the sawmill does actually need somewhere to take the actual firewood to, so I'll let them take the firewood to here instead. Now this one, interestingly enough, the farmer up just to the just up slightly northwest of where this barn is, they're actually bringing the vegetables to here. They're not bringing it to here, they're bringing it to here, which is not ideal, because that's not what this barn's meant to be for. These barns, they're all for just trading things in and out. It allows me to keep an eye on things, but it should make the routes a bit easier to manage. Right, so there's nothing going to there. Oops, for some reason you decided to allow herbs, which you shouldn't. Oh, you're accepting flour, and you shouldn't. Right, so that should have sorted that bit out. But I'm gonna have to go around all the different caravan stables to find out who's actually touching that barn. I already know that one there and that one there, they're already exporting firewood out of that barn. So I'll need to take those routes, for instance. There's somebody, might be this one or this one. Yeah, they're taking the hide from this barn here and bringing it up to here. So that route's going to have to go, and I'll have to get well, I'll have to rethink that. I'll probably put it into there, because the hide really is for the tailors up here. The idea is these barns that are facing towards the area up here, they're the ones where I take produce to that area. These barns down here, these are the ones where these people will take items out of here and put them into these barns, because these barns are dedicated for the things like the pies and the clothes that we bring in from this area. But yeah, I'm going to have to go around, because there's a few different caravans I'm sure actually probably touch that barn. Not you. Yeah, so there's another one, you see, there's one that exchanges the firewood. So yeah, there's a bit of thought's going to have to go into that just to tidy it up, and then just before I actually decommission that, I'll have to save the game, otherwise that could be a lot of time lost. I'll have to move that sawmill at some point, probably up here. I mean, technically, when we've got this area all finished, we should be exporting charcoal all the way out of here, all the way up to here, so we shouldn't need a sawmill. But for now, I'm just going to leave it where it is. But I really need to. I suppose I could move it. Could move it up to that corner there, out of the way. Do like a quick fix. If I move them up to here, gives me an opportunity to sort of clear that area, and then I can build a caravan for that side. Now up here, I really need to get this this pasture going, so we'll unpause that one. It doesn't need much, it just needs a bit more, you know, a couple of taps and it'll be ready, and then it'll start breeding our sheep. We've already got hay being brought into that barn, warehouse rather, there. So we should be good to go because there's a supply of water. Now the trouble is we're just not producing enough flax, so ultimately what I wanted was one big field down here. But what I've realised is you can only build a field so big. It won't let me stretch a field bigger than 32. And I wanted to be able to have one big giant field back here, for instance, but no, the game won't let me do that. So I think what I'll do, I mean, that's 16 by 26, so I'll build it the same size. Oh. Yeah, I'll build that because then we'll end up with double the amount of flax, and I'll see if that, because this is going to be for 4 tailors. If that ends up being too much, what I'll do is I'll demolish that field there. Might build it slightly smaller. If that's still too much, I can then demolish that one, build that one slightly smaller. But actually I'm going to need some scarecrows as well, aren't I? But the idea is just, all I want is enough, I just literally want enough getting produced. I don't want a big surplus. So you'll go and face that way. Because the idea is that's all going into that one barn. And I don't expect to get much in that barn, to be honest, anyway. So hopefully that should be enough. Now you're going to need a supply of water though, because you're not close enough to... Ooh. That's a pain. Gets in the way of my road. I'm going to have to... I think I'll push the house a bit further back then. What the heck. Let's do that. We'll get our house. We'll just move the house further back because it's not getting built yet anyway. So that gets all that lot sorted out. That'll get done. So we're waiting for that to be built, that to get moved so that we can then build the other caravan stable there. There is one thing I do also. I want to move this donkey farm here because I mean I do have a hunter nearby. There's 3 nearby, so they cover that entire area. There's another hunter around here somewhere because they're dedicated to this area, and yet we're still getting wolves killing off our donkeys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the donkey farm, or rather I'm going to build a second donkey farm. That comes under here, doesn't it? And I'm going to build it here because we're already bringing hay into this area anyway. So that's a thought. Actually, let's get a well built here. So that's a municipal building. And then we'll get our donkey farm built next to that. So that gives them a source of hay and access to water. Now, of course, there's nobody to protect them up here. So really, I'm going to have to start expanding these walls out. I really need to finish these walls off, because I do still get occasional attacks by wolves on the pigs, for instance. The cows seem to be okay, and that's probably because of the walls. But yeah, every now and again a wolf will come in and attack the pigs. So I really should get this entire area done. There's tons of walls to be built. So that's something I need to focus on. I need to get these walls extended all the way out to here. That ramp needs to move. The only reason I've got that ramp is I get like raiders will land on the actual beach area, but when they land and they're literally right up on top of the embankment and they can't get back down. So I don't know if that's going to cause a problem or not, so I thought, well, I better put this ramp in place. At least then they'll come back down, and then I can get rid of them. But yeah, that's going to have to be pushed further back. So yeah, I can see me spending quite a while just putting the foundations in, just for all these walls. So down here, that's the donkey farm sorted. We've got a carpenter's shop. Now that's going to get superseded by the one down there producing steel tools once we've got enough population. Yeah, I'm temporarily putting a donkey farm in there to have two, because then I'll share them. But eventually I'll get rid of this one. They're producing firewood, so they'll eventually go, because we should be producing charcoal down here. That's a house. That's a field for here. A warehouse. So that should basically allow us to then clear this area out at some point. Yeah, so that then once all that lot's done, I can then start focusing on here, and that should pretty much be it for Village 2, I'd say. Having said that, there is this area. I mean, I do need more people, but I could really do with providing them their own, a bigger supply of food, because at the moment they get fish from here. They get fruit and vegetables from this gatherer down here. I should really build some fields and some pastures down here, so that way we're providing them with our own food source. I think that might be an idea. Yeah, could be a good idea, that. But for now, we'll focus on this. Start shuffling things around, get things built. And speaking of which, I don't have enough wood, do I? Right, we don't have enough wood, so straight up we're going to have to get everybody out of whatever they're doing. We're going to have to get them to chop all the trees down, because there's just not enough wood in this area. And we're going to need tons of it to build all of these things. We'll probably end up having to buy a lot of stone. I mean, we've got a new stone quarry down here, and it's got quite a good supply of stone. Trouble is, it just takes forever for them to do it. Right, so we'll get these to chop everything down, and then hopefully we'll have enough resources. If not, I mean, I can always buy stone in particular. I can buy it over the market anyway. Chop them down. What the heck, I'm feeling generous. That'll give them something to do. Right, I'm going to let them get on with that. Once we've made some progress, I'll bring you back. Well, we've got the left-hand caravan stable built, and wow, I've got quite a lot of roots in here already. That's just basically them taking things out of this area, bringing it up to here. I don't have them like bringing anything back yet. I'm going to have to get them to do that sort of stuff. But yeah, the trouble with what I've got, I mean, there's just so many different produce that we're dealing with that I've just gone for like a general food one. But the trouble is, you can't set a specific limit on food. I can just set a kind of like a ratio, it seems. It's like it's either everything or it's a ratio. So I'm thinking, well, I'll do it on a ratio of about 10 to 1 on the assumption there's going to be like tons and tons of like food over on this side versus the amount that they need. And tools, at least I can set a limit on tools. Hide, I just want all of the hide going over there for the tailors. We've got a certain amount of firewood, certain amount of herbs, and then we've got the oats. So I've made a slight tweak. So there's no point bringing the oats out of this barn into that barn and then up to here. So I've just got them targeting that barn there. They'll bring the oats to here. Then this one here, they're just gonna, before they were grabbing all of the oats from that barn themselves, but now that I've got somebody bringing it into the area, all they need to do is just pick the oats up from here, and then they'll bring it over to here. And I'll have to try and figure out, so they're bringing clothes. Actually, that's a thought I've got. Yeah, so there's not much point sharing the clothes, but well, I suppose there is. I mean, I had them sharing clothes because the idea was, I mean, these people are going to need clothes as well. So I'll leave them to do that, but then what I'll do is I'll get them to take some clothes out of hang on, which barn are you targeting? You're targeting that barn, so I need you to get some clothes from that barn and bring it to that barn. Yeah, you take some from there to there. Now I want to leave a certain number behind, so I'll do it that way. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to pull some clothes out of here down to here, and then, you know, as long as there's a good enough surplus in here, they'll bring it over to here. Trouble is that is quite a big surplus. Would end up with about over hundreds of clothes in the area, which I don't really need. Let's drop that to say 20. I think 20 is a bit more realistic, so that's plenty for these people. Now, I've started building this caravan stable here because the sawmill's now been moved, so I've got them focusing on that. The sheep pasture's now up and running. Obviously you've got to wait for all the sheep to get bred. But it kind of dawned on me, I was so far through this and I suddenly realised I'm adding all these extra jobs, but I've got nowhere for these people to live. So I've got them to build a house, and then it's been upgraded. And we're focusing on the donkey farm. 26 people down to 24, so we've got an extra person in the caravan stables there. We're into the fall. Oh wow, we're into the fall. Oh, that's because they haven't. Basically, they're just harvesting the fields, and they're not going to take the produce into the barns until they've got nothing left to harvest. So yeah, it's probably going to take a while before we see that figure going back up again. So I need them to get to focus on this caravan stable here. So that's that there. We've only got we've got less than 200 stone left, so I'm going to have to buy more stone. And we don't have that much milk, but we've got tons and tons of meat to sell. Could always do that. The flax farm, yep, that's up and running. So we're on to 800 flax. We'll see how that goes throughout next year. As I say, if we end up producing just way too much, you just start downsizing a field. I haven't done anything in here yet because they need grain, and they need oats, and they need water. So they should be going across here to get their oats. The trouble is there are no oats in that barn. We're going to have to wait for the caravanners to sort things out again. Now, one thing I've noticed is we're going to start running out of flour at some point. So I think it makes sense to get one of these millers up and running. Because there's quite a bit of grain there. I mean, we don't have anybody in the field producing it. This is just like surplus grain we've had left over, probably from village 1, I think. So, late fall, we've got all this lot to do. Yeah, I think it'll probably be around about like spring of next year, I think, by the time we come back to see how we've been getting on. So, I'll see you then. Well, we're into the spring of the next year. I can breathe a sigh of relief now because we've got 2 sheep. I was actually watching this place like a hawk over the winter because there was only 1 sheep, and if that sheep had been sort of like taken out by a wolf, it would have meant that that was it. I would have had to, you know, demolish the actual sheep farm and start all over again. Fortunately, nothing actually came by. There was like a chicken attack at one point. There was a fox got into there. I've had that actually happen before, where I've actually gone off to one pasture to deal with one problem, only for another problem to happen in another pasture. So I was like, you know, it was like pretty much on the edge of my seat, expecting like a wolf to have sneaked past and got into the sheep pen, but nope, that didn't happen, thankfully. So we have ended up with 2 sheep. I'll feel a lot safer once we get a lot more though. The donkey farm's up and running. No problems for those, because I literally just transferred half of them across from the other farm. I'll leave that that other one down here up and running for a while, just to sort of put off the risk, because this area is totally exposed. There's still a chance of getting things like wolves sneaking into here and killing any actual donkeys here. So I'll reduce the risk by having the 2 of them. You can also actually end up with diseases as well, which is a pain. So yeah, it always pays to have 2 anyway. But I think at some point I might end up making one. Could always make one on the other side, I suppose. But anyway, one other thing I want to do is to build another field, because I've actually destroyed this one during the winter time. We've ended up with like way more flax than I was expecting. So rather than being 16 by 26, I'm going to drop it to 16 by 20. Then what we'll do, we'll see how much flax gets produced between these 2 fields in comparison, because I mean that's like, yeah, I think that's far too much more than we need. Because I mean at the moment, if we hit a bottleneck, it'll either be the wool or the hide. And it looks like it's going to be the hide, because that 1,000 hides somewhere else. So I'm gonna have to play hunt the hide now. It's out there somewhere. I just don't know where. Down here it's quite interesting actually. There was all these potatoes got left over during the winter. It looks like I must have paused the field off and put all of the farmers into the fish farms before they managed to clear that field. So I mean, it's not too bad actually, because it means there's all these like vegetables sitting in storage at the moment, but we will get some more out of this field, because they'll come along, pick all that lot up, and then just pop it into the barn. Now, speaking of barns, I think I've covered every route, so I'm going to get this one demolished. But I'm going to have to be careful, because like I'm going to have to basically save the game. As soon as that gets like 8 or 9 out of, you know, 8 out of 9 for deconstruction, I'm going to have to pause the game, because if I've missed one, it'll end up crashing. So that takes care of that. Now, as far as getting the goods in and out of these 2 areas, I've kind of like backtracked on what I was going to do. I think early on in the design, I was planning to have sort of like a dedicated caravan that got the goods from here. So things like, I mean, we've got to be able to bring vegetables, meat, all sorts of things up to here. It's not so bad for the people here. There's not that much to get, but there's a lot of things to get down here. I was originally going to put a caravan up here that was dedicated to that job. I mean, this one here would have done it. This one up here was going to then just transport things backwards and forwards between the areas, but kind of dawned on me now that we've taken a lot of the barns away, I can get these ones to do it. They don't really do much at the moment. It's a bit different on the right, because the ones on the right are transporting other things. Like this one's doing tools. They're bringing tools that will end up in here all the way up to here. These ones are dealing with the hide and with the firewood. So I mean there'll be a lot less, as I say, for these to do once we've actually got all the building work done. It's just I do have to bring all of those materials up here to get things built. But once they go, they'll have a lot less work to do. But while I was factoring those out, because I did start putting all these little different routes in for transferring things around, it kind of dawned on me it's causing me problems, because I've got to share food between, say, like that barn there and that barn there, between that barn there and that barn there, between that one and that one, between that one and that one. I'll then have to do some sort of juggling act between them just to make sure everything gets shared. And I think it was getting just too complicated. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to backpedal on this design again. It means we're going to end up with even less barns than before, because I mean, like, you look down the center, all these barns that I originally built that never really turned out to be of any use, to be honest, because these castle barns, they hold a lot. I mean, it's a pity they didn't build castle warehouses, but the castle barns can hold a lot, and this is going to be overkill, to be honest, and it's just going to get really messy for all the roots. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause these two barns off, which I was suddenly thinking you can't do it, but yes you can. Right, so I'll pause these barns off, and I'll pause these barns off, just so that I know. And I'll just basically use these barns on this side, so anything that we want to take into the area up here will go into, say, like that barn. Anything that comes out of that area for here will go into like that barn. So there's a lot less to do. I think that's more practical. There's just so many barns I've got, it's just getting crazy, and so many different routes. You've got to be careful as to where things go in case you've missed it, or it's getting just crazy. So that should get easier. I've just got to go back over all of these different routes and start deleting some and repointing them. So that'll take me a while, and then I've got all of these routes to create to get all the food up to these barns. Now down here we did get quite a big population rise, so I've put people into the kilns, I've put people into the blast furnace, into the smithy, and into the sawmill. Now the carpenter that's up here, I've paused that off. There's no point making primitive tools now that we can make steel tools. And I've just noticed that iron mine's not producing anything, so we'll take the iron mine out and we'll build another one. Ooh, 4, 7, ooh, 6 to, ooh, 6 to 40 will do me. Very, oh no, I've lost the 6, oh there it is. Right, so we'll get them to build that. I mean, they've got quite a bit of iron anyway in there to keep them going for a while longer. The only thing I'm still wondering, I can't remember, I think there aren't enough kilns here to produce enough charcoal to keep all of the residents happy and produce enough for the actual blast furnace. So I think I'm going to end up having to build some more kilns. I still need to have a think about the farms and what have you down here. Nothing to do down there. Oh, that's something else I need to do. Over the winter time, there was quite a lot of people actually died of hypothermia, because I was actually at a point where I had 35 people free in the labour force, and now I'm down to 25. I mean, I was getting people, like for instance, there was a miner wandering down here who died of hypothermia, and she actually lived in that house, so I suspect she actually came up here to chop these trees down and ended up, yeah, she died of hypothermia as a result. So we're still doing quite well. I mean, there's still like 26 teenagers coming up, but I did notice there was like a little kid came through the gateway to go to their house and they just about made it. So I need to put a school here. For some reason I forgot to build a school. Or did I? Because this is the centre point. That's the barn for them. Yeah, I forgot to build a school. I mean, I went to the trouble of building taverns, because there's a tavern there for them. But I forgot to build a school. Rats. So we'll get that pyre deconstructed, and then I'll pop a school in the middle. So that'll be good enough for both sides. Yeah. So fingers crossed. The game will survive a barn deconstruction. See you then. Well, it's spring again, and yeah, we're still producing too much flax by the looks of it, so I've just put in an order in to get this field here deconstructed, and then we'll get it built to be the same size as that one. Let's see, so that would be for 3 people. The school was built. I decided to move it up to here instead of there, because then that gives me a bit of leeway to, you know, expand these fields if necessary. I don't think I'll have to, because at the moment we're importing the oats and the grains down here anyway, so I don't think we're really going to need those fields, but I'd rather have that, like, you know, bit of wiggle room, to be honest. So we've built a school here. It's now getting upgraded, but it's taking a bit of a while to do that because everybody was busy building these roads. I've had them turn all of these roads over to stone throughout the winter. Where we're still trying to work things out, I've just left them as dirt roads for now, but most of the roads have been turned into stone. The roads down here have been rebuilt as well, because that was originally just like a single pathway, but since we've started taking out things, I've switched it over to like 2 lanes basically. Now over here, what I've noticed is we're producing just far too much, far too many oats. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll unpause these fields. I think I need to let me double check. Yeah, I haven't finished switching everybody over, but I'm not going to open that oat field up because we've hit the ceiling. There's just far too many oats. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip them over to this one because we don't get enough vegetables at the moment. Vegetables are really low. So yeah, I think I'll swap them over so we start producing more vegetables, and then we'll see how we do with the oats, whether we're keeping pace. Because I remember, I mean, that one field wasn't enough for just like 1 chicken coop, and yet somehow we're producing like way more oats than 3 pig farms need. And there are quite a few pigs here, I must admit. So I don't know. I would have thought the pigs would have gone through more oats than the chickens, but oh well, it is what it is. I'll just get everybody out of the fish farms actually. Put them over to here. If I could count. I'll put everybody back into this house. Well, it's a hostel really. Take everybody, well, almost everybody, out of here and out of here. Fish. Well, not that much fish. I might have to have a bit of a rethink in terms of how many fish farms we've got. Looks like we might have to start building some more. Just unpause these fields. So that's 32 farmers we need to add in. So I'll put that at 55 because that gives me the 3 we're going to need for the field up there once it's rebuilt. So let me just double check. So there's 22 people there, 22 there, 22 there, 5, 4 and 4. Right, so everybody's now swapped around, ready for the next year. So the oats is now sorted out, so we'll make less oats, but we should produce more vegetables. Now that one there has been swapped over. I forgot to update this caravan. Originally this one was actually pulling vegetables into here because this was all set up just for meat, so I've now got them swapped around. So hopefully once that lot comes on stream we'll start to see the vegetables going up. Caravan routes, I've only updated these 2. So these 2, that one there is taking care of the milk and the meat, while this one here is doing the vegetables, fruit and fish. But you can see there's plenty of meat, just not enough vegetables, fruit or fish. Now I'm not sure why there's just so few fruit, because we used to produce a lot of fruit. I mean, it might pick up once we start getting more like steel tools. They might start to increase their production, but it's got me scratching my head at the moment. At least we'll get the vegetables improved, but that still leaves the fruit and the fish to think over. Now then, down here, I mean, I was thinking of building a sort of like a field, you know, for potatoes, and then some, well, a pasture, you know, some pigs probably, and then some oats. But because we've got so many, well, so much meat getting produced, I think I'll knock that bit on the head. I think I'll just have a field down here that grows potatoes. Now, I need to go back and double check how big these ones are, because we don't need, I don't think we need that much. These ones are, it's a lot easier when the fences are there. That's a 25 by 17, so let's make that, be interesting to see whether this works because of the blast furnace, but we'll make that a, do about, oh I can't because of the, I was going to put it there actually, and then I thought, oh yeah, but that's in the way. The road runs to there, so I can't put it there. So I'll do the same as I did further up actually. I'll do a 26 by 16. That should produce quite a lot, because there's this area here where we've got, it's mainly for the actual caravanners and the actual healers. But yeah, we'll see how we do with the potato field. These fields are actually quite interesting now, because they tell you that they need 0 of 0 lugs. Because we've taken the fences away, there's just nothing. Yeah, there's just nothing to actually bring to these. It just needs the actual builders to come along, and I don't even know what the builders do, quite frankly, because there's nothing to do technically. I mean, surely it's the farmers who actually then you know do all the actual work in the field. But never mind. So that's taken care of. Now, up here, because we're starting to supply the meat, I'm going to get them to actually start building a couple of meat pie bakers. So we'll get these two up and running. Get them to focus on these. Which means we're going to need, oh, wow, 31 builders. Struth, that's a lot. I'll take it up to 10 for now. But won't be long before that one's finished anyway. But then we'll start to produce the meat pies. And then we'll see how we do with that, because we should be getting 464 meat, 394 in there, so they're getting shared out. Yeah, there's not that much left in there. Over here we're actually running out of wool. The pasture's almost full, so it'll be interesting to see throughout the year just how much wool we actually get, because it may well be I'll have to, you know, demolish this and completely rebuild it. Trouble is, I'm not, off the top of my head, I'm not really sure how big it's going to be, so I might end up having just to add an extra one on just to see, you know, how many sheep we need, and then we'll build a new one based on that size, that total size. But it's quite a lot to be done, so I'm just going to leave these people to get on with it. Once we're done, I'll bring you back. Well, we're into the spring of a new year, and it's a bit too early to tell if we're actually producing enough wool yet. I mean, obviously that we haven't had the sheep for that long for one thing, but it's a case of the tailors here actually started running out of hide. So I've actually bought some hide over the market, and I'm just waiting for that to make its way to them. I've also had to fix a supply chain problem, because the hide was actually stockpiling down here. So I've now got that caravan transporting it up to the actual barn here. So hopefully we've resolved that bottleneck, and we should then be able to keep an eye on the wool to see if these two pastures here are actually enough to meet the demands. I'm still not going to touch the flax yet. I really want to focus on one thing at a time. I want to be at the point where there's enough of all three resources to then start scaling back one to see if you know, what sort of like size we actually need. So we'll leave that for a while just to see how it goes over the year. Now over here, the meat pie bakers are doing fine because we're actually getting them enough meat. That will be coming from the chickens. No issues with the field there. We're producing enough vegetables. That's okay for the vegetable pie bakers. The only trouble is we're not getting enough eggs. So what I've done is I've got an instruction to build a coop here, and then we'll just have to see how that goes, whether we end up with too many eggs and have to scale back, or not enough and have to scale up. I mean, I suspect I'll have to scale back, because I'm pretty sure when I did my original testing, I managed to get away with 2 size 2 coops. This is a size 3 coop, that's a size 2. But again, we'll just see how things go. The one problem in this area for all 4 bakers is actually flour, so they didn't actually run out, but they were getting close to it. So I've brought this extra windmill online. I've also added in the field, or at least I've added somebody to it, so they're going to now start growing wheat, which will give us the grain we need, because there's not a great deal of grain here. And we do need to produce some anyway. I mean, we need grain for the tavern up here, we need grain for the 2 windmills. Now, there is some grain that's been left lying around here for quite a while, it seems. So I've got somebody to export that up, but all the same, I'd still rather, you know, start producing more grain, because, you know, that's all going to get consumed at some point. So we do have to produce our own grain anyway, so we may as well start now. Oats, I do know obviously we're bringing those extra chickens into the system, so the oats will start to fall even further. I mean, those 2 fields alone were producing too many oats, that's why that one's paused, but it's too early to bring this one back online, or at least a smaller version, because the 2 of them together is just too much. So when I do bring one, you know, another field back online, it'll be a smaller version, because these are like, you know, for 6 farmers, so maybe like a 4, you know, one for a size 4 farmer might do. See how those do between the 2 of them. But I'm going to wait a while until we're like below, say, like 10,000 oats, because the trouble is, I know this one alone, we hit the ceiling cap at 20,000 last year, so there's no point keep doing that. I'd rather just wait until we get lower, and then I'll get them to produce, you know, get the 2 fields to produce lots of oats. And if it still keeps falling, then I know it's not enough. I think that's probably easier, rather than just keep bumping up against a cap. Fruit, we're actually doing quite well for fruit, I must admit. There's quite a bit of fruit scattered around the orchards, because obviously we send people out to do fish farming as soon as the temperature drops below -1, below 0 rather. So there's still quite a bit of fruit to be gathered and put in the barns, but the trouble is it's not making its way up to here, or at least there's not enough, I feel. 98 fruit doesn't quite cut it. So what I want to do is I want to increase the supply of fruit into this area before we bring the actual fruit pie bakeries online, and that means we need more fruit in the actual storage, central storage barns. So I've been playing around with some of the trade routes going on, or at least the caravan stable routes, I should say. Hopefully we should start to see more food getting into these central barns, less being stockpiled around in these little quadrant barns. Then we should be able to export more food out to areas like here, out to the centre area out here, and also out to this area down here as well. So these are all things I've put in place just now, so it's going to be a case of just sitting back and seeing what effect they have. I mean, I have got them bringing more food into these 2 barns, just simply because that barn there supplies that barn, and that barn then supplies out to here, and that one out to here. So I've got to, yeah, that's the only quadrant where we're actually bringing more produce in, rather than taking more back out of the actual centre. But it's just a case of the changes have been made, so I'm just going to sit back and see how things go there. There is a bit of a supply problem going on between here and here though, and it's just because the actual caravans have run out of routes. I've got them doing so many things within their own areas, as well as trying to transport goods between the areas, that it's causing problems now. So my plan is we'll take this donkey farm away, because we've been doing okay with just one. So I'm going to take this one away, and then we'll build a caravan stable here, and we'll dedicate that one to transporting goods backwards and forwards between the 2 areas. It'll take some pressure off this one in particular, so I'll be in a better place to be able to transport things in and out of the actual market, whereas at the moment I'm having to sometimes delete a route to replace it with something else I want to take out of the market when I buy it. let's see, the carpenter shop's getting deconstructed because that's no longer needed. We're starting to move the actual primitive tools over to the market so we can sell them off, and then we'll just be left with the actual steel tools, and we seem to be doing okay with those. I'm quite happy with that sort of figure. I mean, I know the smithy keeps running out of steel every now and again, but I know full well we'll end up with like way more tools than we need anyway, so there's no real incentive to build another blast furnace, to be honest. The big change I'd say is going to be this area though, because we do have quite a reasonable surplus of fish, but that's got to last throughout the entire year. So I think the plan now is going to be we're going to add some more fish farms. It means another hostel, more barns, and then we'll get the fish farms. But I need to fix the supply chain problem because this caravan here, it's just overwhelmed. It can't cope. I mean, I could add another 2 people in to do the job, but there's just such a big difference, especially when you get into the winter, for instance. There'll be so much fish in that barn. They're trying to balance fish between that barn and that barn, and then exporting fish out of that barn to that barn. It's just going to be too much. That was the reason why I scaled back to having just 2 barns in the quadrants. You know, it was just too much for a caravan stable to keep up with, having to keep the levels balanced in more than 1 barn. So the plan is we'll have to fix that as well, get more caravan stables built. So that's going to be a big job. The rest of it's pretty much just observation, see how things go, finding out whether the changes we've actually made have been enough. And that's really all for the next episode. So I do hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If so, then do please leave a like. The more likes a video gets, the more Google decides, yes, that's a nice video, everybody wants to see it, so we'll show it to more people. So yes, do please like that video because it'll help me out a great deal. If you're new to the channel and you'd like to see more content like this, then yes, do please subscribe. Just remember to click the little bell icon though, because then you get notifications when I send new content out. And if you've got any comments, any suggestions, if you want to leave any feedback at all, please post that in the comment section below. Till the next episode, thanks very much for watching. Bye!